Hello, Jamie here from Inky and Scrappy. Thank you for joining me. Sharing with you today a fun 4-bar card that has a jumping goat on it. Starting with a piece of cardstock at 5x7, scoring it at 3.5 to create that 4-bar card size. So finished card is 5x3.5. Just working on laying out my pieces here using MFT's stitched clouds border, and I'm actually making it a shaped card on top. So taking that cloud border and cutting it right into my card base, and then adding in another layer of clouds and the mountains. The mountains are the stitched mountains sides from Lawn Fawn, and then the stitched hills are also from Lawn Fawn. Figuring out how I want it to look, and coming in with some stormy sky, and then just adding some color to my clouds and some Tattered Angels glimmer spray to add some shine and speckles. Coming in with Distress Oxide and Black Soot and Hickory Smoke for the mountains, and then Mowed Lawn for the hillside. And so I'm adding the goats to figure out which ones I need to color. And that's where I decided that my little goat needs to jump around, or jump. So I'm going to color my images, and I am using E70s today for the main color on the goats, and then some warm grays. So my colors, I'm starting with E79 and then 77 and 74. A very light use of 71 on the big goat, and then coming in with some warm grays in W9, W7, and W3 for the gray. And then for the kid goat, I am just using the same colors but taking out the darkest of those, so he's a lighter version. Coming in with some G's for the grass, and then I will add in B18, B26, and Y18 for my flowers and my sentiment later. So popping out those goats and figuring out how I'm going to make my little goat jump. So I ended up shopping my stash and just using a die that cuts out a trail, or in this case a cord, from the Screen Time set from Lawn Fawn. And then I'm just going to partially die cut this so it hangs off. It doesn't cut the full length there, and then just come in and snip the end piece there to get my trail. I didn't want it to be, it's a really small card, so I didn't want it to take over the whole bottom piece there. And then just laying this out and trying to figure out how I'm going to make this goat jump. So I ended up going in and finding a pull tab piece, I guess, like I could have used a round circle here, or like a half a circle, or a half, part of a triangle or something to make that same cut on the bottom there. I just needed it to hide the tab so you could still move it and it wouldn't, you could still set the card up. So I'm just trying to figure out how to make my little goat jump. I knew what I wanted it to do, I just had to remember how to make it do it. So I ended up getting out a piece of acetate and kind of putting the goat on there and figuring out where I needed to have it so he would move along that track to the greatest extent, I guess. So he would go from one end to the other end. So I just using a temporary brad to figure out if this is how it's going to work, if it's going to work this way, or if I need to figure out something else. So that seems to be the right placement. I kind of pressed it in with my finger so it left a little divot on the main panel. So I kind of knew where I needed it to be. And then because I needed that track to be, or the green piece to cover up the track, I needed to move it over a little bit. And so I'm just going to go in, and I found a mini brad in my stash. And I'm actually going to put I put him on the wrong way. He needed to go on the inside of my green piece, not on the back side of my green piece. And so I have the prongs on the back fairly flat, and then just a little bump in the middle. So it only needed that one layer of foam tape in there, so I could keep it fairly flat without adding a lot of dimension. And so I just took my goat off, and then I'm readjusting because he was getting caught on that track. So I needed him to be lower than his feet and his nose needed to be lower than the track so he didn't get caught. Then I'm just adding in some stoppers there so you don't lose the acetate piece into the card. And so adding in some more foam adhesive to make that stick. I did not put any adhesive on that added green piece. I wanted to allow the goat to move without hindering or catching on anything. So I didn't want to put any acetate and risk it catching. So I'm just laying down the rest of my seam here. And the little goat is hungry, so he's jumping into the pile or into the tall green grass. And if you've ever seen goats, they love to eat a lot. We have a few that come up to the farm in the summertime that eat the grass around some of the areas that we don't mow. And we end up feeding them extra because they eat more than the grass that's in that area. So I'm just going in, and I found a small pull tab type add-on from the Let's Tow set. And I didn't want the arrow because I want the arrows to go this way and that way. And so I'm just using, I think it's an MFT interactive die set that has all the little words and stuff. And I have the arrows, so I'm going back and forth. And then I just finished this up with the You Goat This set. So I stamped the You Goat This, colored it in yellow, and chopped it apart. And then the goat is from Oliver Stitched alphabet, and then I just colored that in with the same colors from to match the flowers below, and my nod to Ukraine for You Goat This. So sending them lots of hope and love and peace. So thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe.